Paulo, pronounce your last name for me.
Stein.
Sean, say it again.
Stein.
Stein. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Dr. Stein.
Oh, no, please call me Paula.
Okay.
No.
Well, I wanted to do an intro. I wanted to allow you to introduce yourself, So
we're live, Connie, if you'd like to start.
Good morning, everyone. I am Connie Locklear. I am a member of the PEPSC committee, and I'm here with Dr. Paulo Steins as well. And we are the assessment and performance subcommittee members. So we will be discussing several of our licensure pieces this morning, and we also have with us our DPI staff. So I am, as I said, I'm Dr. Connie Locklear. I'm director for the Indian Education Program for the Public Schools of Robeson County. And I'm a PEPSC member, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Stein to introduce herself as well.
Good morning, everyone. Paula Stein, Dean of the College of Education at North Carolina State University and new member of PEPSC as of this year. Excited to do the work.
And we're so happy to have you. This is some great work. We also have the DPI staff with us this morning, and we're so happy to have them as well. So they're going to be able to answer a lot of our questions and make sure that we are in statute. So we're thankful for them and the work that they do at DPI.
Absolutely.
So we will begin with licensure 007, which is professional educator discipline. And looking at the information of feedback from the field, I did not see anything from the field. Now, if I overlook that, Paula, if you've seen anything, or anyone else, if you would be willing to jump in, the piece that we have here, and Kim, is it okay if I can share my screen at this point so we can make these recommendations? Is that fine?
Yes. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Just for a process question, who will take notes of the discussion and then the final conclusion for each of the rules we look at?
Tom, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. So you have, as part of your materials,
yeah, we have a table.
Your table there. So you can request that Dr. Evans take the notes for you. So there's two things. There's the document with kind of the process you're going through, and in that there is a table where you record your discussions. The spreadsheet that Dr. Locklear is showing now is where you make your just determination. So you can, and I would prefer you folks, one of you, actually enter that information. So you're going to say yes or no to LICN 001. If it's a yes, you don't need to put anything. If it's a no, you provide either the modification needed to make it acceptable, or that it should just not go forward at all. That's pretty rare, but it's possible. So if you folks want to handle that, Dr. Locklear, you can certainly ask Dr. Evans if she can complete the document, which you'll be able to review to make sure she captured your discussions accurately.
Okay. Thank you for that, Dr. Chamberlain. So, Dr. Evans, will you be willing to, do you want me to, I have the document up, so I can go ahead and type this in. If you will just take care of our discussion minutes, or do we need to keep those as well?
Well, I'll just kind of keep a summary of kind of your points that you make for each of the either rules or policies.
Okay.
And Dr.
If there are any that need to be highlighted. Are
you going to do that I'm
doing that in the Word doc.
In the Word doc. Okay. That's what I want to get. So Dr. Locklear is just going to enter the information into the spreadsheet.
Right, kind of the final call.
And Dr. Evans will capture the documentation and discussion, and then she'll send that out to everybody on the subcommittee team to review and make sure that they're acceptable.
Yes.
And I'll share this document with you, Dr. Evans.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, any additional questions before we start looking at our rules and our license? Okay, thank you.
Oh, just thank you.
I looked at the feedback from the field and I did not see any discussion from the field, and unless I overlooked it, as it relates to licensure of 007 and Rule 610. So do we have any discussion on 610? 610, I'll read the rule for everyone, for those of you that may be listening online and may not have this information. It says this criminal history report requirement of GS 115C-332E shall be governed by this policy if the local Board of Education of the local school administrative unit in which a charter school is located has adopted a policy requiring criminal history checks consistent with GS 115C-332, the Board of Directors of the charter school shall report the results of the criminal history check for a licensed professional educator under its employment to the Department of Public Instruction in accordance with this policy. And this license is just professional educator discipline. And I think this piece, and Dr. Tomlin, you can chime in at any time you like. This is just ensuring that not only the public schools, but not only the public schools, but charter schools also are in compliance with this rule. Is that correct?
That is correct. Charter schools are public schools. I think you
Right.
mean traditional district
Traditional
schools.
LEAs. Thank
Yeah.
you for correcting me on that. Yes.
Absolutely. But yes, all public school units, which is generally the term we use to describe everything that's public, inclusive of charters, lab schools, and residential schools, is bound by this policy and rule.
Right. So I didn't see anything in the field. I didn't see anything that was different. I think it's just making sure that all public schools, as Dr. Tomlin said, are in accordance with this policy. So my recommendation is yes to go forward to the State Board of Education as written.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now, there were no changes to the licensure policy, right? The changes are only to the rule.
Right,
Correct?
right. So I need to take that out. It was just to the rule.
To the rules. That's where the
Right.
changes are, correct? Or
Right.
Tom, do you need us to say yes to both?
You had no objections to the rule, or did you have some feedback?
I didn't see any feedback to the rule. And so the licensure, we already have licensure 007. So the only thing in that licensure that has changed is just the addition of this rule. So should we type yes to both pieces, the licensure and to the rule?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is license endorsement. That's license 015.
Okay, so I have to say, given the timeline, I only looked carefully at the ones assigned to me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I am not sure that I would be prepared to. I can look right now, but it's not fast, right? Because you're looking here, looking there,
Okay.
looking at the documents. So did we get anything on those, or did you look at those carefully? I don't mind looking, but I would be looking now for the first time.
I looked at them and I did not see anything, and I can give a brief overview. And as I said, Dr. Tomlin and Dr. Seiberg and their others can jump in. But from what I'm reading on this is just saying in here that a teacher that already has a licensure can add on a license in psychology, journalism, or K-12 computer education. These are only add-ons. And with that, they have they're allowed to teach in that content area half the time or full time. That was the only clarification I wanted to receive there, Tom. So, or Dr. Tomlin.
Sure.
So they can.
You can call me. You can call me Tom. That is fine.
Okay.
So I want to just and Dr. Locklear, it's fine. I'm just going to reiterate what you said, but using more precise language. These
Yes,
are
please.
endorsements. They're not add-on licenses. So they are not technically licenses. They cannot stand alone.
Right.
They are issued for the purposes of instruction in those fields. So especially like psychology. So we don't want to confuse that with school psychologist license. This is the ability of the teacher to teach a course in psychology. To add one of those to one of those endorsements, a teacher needs a minimum of 18 credit hours in that content area from an institution of higher education. So the endorsement allows, so you can get an endorsement kind of just in about anything, but that only allows you to teach no more than half of your scheduled workday. So if I were to get an endorsement in, let's say, sociology, then I could teach one course per semester in sociology. However, we have 3 specific areas, psychology, journalism, and K-12 computer science education, where that endorsement allows the teacher to teach those subject areas more than half time. They can teach them full time. And those are 3 exceptions to that endorsement rule. So endorsements, just to clarify, don't come with the same requirements as a license. They don't have to pass a content test in order to do that. They simply have to hold the 18 semester hours.
And just for my own clarification, an endorsement can go with an IPL or a CPL. Is there?
That's correct.
Okay. Just for me to understand
That's a great question. So we don't clarify in here how the endorsement, on which license the endorsement is applicable. Like, that's a great question. I don't think, because our add-on, which is a license, specifies that you must hold an IPL having passed your content exams, or you hold a CPL. So that is an area that you could ask for clarification. Can any license holder, and I'm going to look to Ms. Ruiz to see what our current practice around endorsements is.
Yeah. Sorry, my voice isn't working. Currently, we would add an endorsement to either an IPL or a CPL, regardless of testing. But we also have been adding areas by 24 or testing to an IPL without testing. So if we're going to make the shift as far as adding areas, I think it's fair to clarify it for this also.
Yeah, but for the IPL, for the area, we have a new requirement for IPLs, right? But I guess for endorsement, we continue to say for IPL or CPL, correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is our current practice, though I
Yeah.
am acknowledging, Dr. Stein, that
Please call me Paula.
I'm sorry, Paula,
Thank you.
that the policy
Yeah.
is not explicit that
Yeah.
on what type of license an endorsement could be added to. And that's a fair recommendation back to DPI, is that so let's check the rule on that really quick, just to make sure it's not, that's 313.
313, yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rule. It doesn't
say.
Okay. So I think that would be.
okay. So
you could say no on this, Dr. Locklear, and then in the in column C should clarify the type of license to which an endorsement may be added. And you can just put it in one of those places and kind of copy it into the other.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't have a particular position on one on the other, so I'll just appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions on this one? Thank you for that clarification. And going back to that, that's just for these three content areas, correct? Just psychology, journalism, and K-12 computer science.
So it could be general, in that any endorsement would be added,
Yeah,
would require a CPL or an IPL, or you could, my preference on this is that we be consistent, whether we're talking
I
about
agree.
a general endorsement or one of these three specific endorsements.
And so what is the rule for general endorsement? Or can we just say cross-check with I think that sounds great, Connie. Yeah. Or just, yeah, somebody has to cross-check. That's the hardest part of this work, I think, is then cross-checking everything to be consistent.
Right. And
But
I think consistency is important.
Hey, Tom, it's
Yeah.
Susan. So Christy is reminding me that while it's not listed here, technically AIG is also an endorsement.
Yeah. And that question has come up, and we can do AIG with 18 semester hours, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's really, so it's a little different in that AIG is not, I mean, you don't teach AIG courses. You support AIG students and provide supplemental learning experiences in their regular courses, is I believe the way it works. But if I'm spending my entire day supporting AIG students, and Susan, I want to make sure I'm understanding your point here. Is it preferable to include them as one of those specific endorsement areas that allows the teacher to work full-time in that area?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not as versed in the teaching employment assignment side of it. More so, I'm looking at it from a licensure perspective. So as we're teasing through all of these, maybe that's a point of clarification. Does AIG need to be listed as an AIG? Does AIG need to be listed under this area, this policy?
So
And I do know that we have teachers that do work in AIG full-time, and it has been a practice in the past.
and AIG is not in some other rule?
No.
Okay.
It's
So it
not
could be
it's
in
not a
AIG.
license area. It's not a standalone license area.
Right, but I don't know if there are other endorsement rules somewhere that maybe address the AIG.
I don't think there are.
I don't
Okay.
think so either.
Should we put that in here, review additional endorsement rules for clarification, just to make sure?
I
But you
think-
said that you don't think so?
Yeah, I
So
think
you-
that's appropriate.
Yes, that's fine.
I think we should say endorsement rules, Connie. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move to license 018. And this is the emergency license. I do have a couple of questions here. And this is just for clarification for me as well. And this is if you look on the rule, point 342.0342. And I need a little clarification, Tom, if you will, on parts B and C. And on part B, it says a person who holds or previously held a residence license shall not be eligible for emergency license in the same area. So, and then it says an emergency license should be valid until June 30th of the fiscal year, which it was requested. We know that, and then an emergency license cannot be extended. So my question is, if I am a teacher who held a residency license in special education, and I'm assuming that I did not complete the qualifications to continue in that residency process, then I want to come back to teach the next year. That teacher could not go back in as a special education teacher. Is that what I'm reading here? And an emergency license.
On an so you hold an emergency license in special education. You don't qualify in the following year for a residency license in special education. Is your question, can that person be licensed in some way for employment in the following year? Is that your question?
Well, yes, kind of going back to B, if I held that residency license and if it says a person who holds or previously held a residency license shall not be eligible for an emergency license in the same license area. So say for instance, I held that residency license in special education, and for some reason I'm not being renewed. If I wanted to come back in August of that same year, I wouldn't be eligible for an emergency license. Is that what I'm reading?
That is correct. You cannot hold an emergency license in the same area more than once.
Right. Okay.
Or if you previously had a NIDA licensure, it's kind of like you can't go backwards, right? You already have a license. If that's not renewed, you can't go backwards and now get an emergency license because it wasn't renewed.
Right.
But this reads to me, and Susan, I want to check this. I could go back and qualify for an emergency license in, let's say, 6th grade math.
Right.
Yeah, it's used primarily where people start down the residency path, and the emergency license is sort of that potentially first or second step. And then they get to the end of the residency, and for whatever reason, they're not able to clear it. So they're going to switch to a different residency area. It would let them get a emergency license to start down a second but different residency license area.
Got it. Just wanted to make sure that's how I originally interpreted it, and I wanted to make sure
That is how I read it too. That's
Yes.
very area specific recommendation.
that's right.
So are we in agreement to move this one forward? Hello, you in agreement?
Um,
Or you have additional questions?
Since I didn't know I had to look that carefully to these, I am not sure what does it take. All the details of the residency license, what's required, but I think I'm in agreement. I was trying to think, okay, well, why would someone not qualify for a residency license? But I would have to have had time to look at the residency license one.
You want to add a little clarification there?
Sure. So in order to qualify for a residency license, well, first, in order to qualify for an emergency license, one must have 18 semester hours in the content area to qualify.
Yeah.
But not have 24, which would qualify you for the residency license.
Perfect.
So it's the scaffolding of the content. And this is why this is a great issue, Paola, because what we try to support in the field is that on the temporary licenses, both the permit to teach and the emergency, the candidate should be focused on content and not on the pedagogical treatment of the residency license. So that time should be spent building up the content and being successful in the content, passing the content exams, and then you enter the EPP with the pedagogical treatment.
Thank you. So I think what I understand then, if you got an emergency licensure, basically you have that year to complete an additional 6 hours of content.
That is correct.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much, Tom.
Yep.
Just a quick question. And I know I don't know if you have the data to support this. I'm just wondering, do you have a lot of individuals that fall in emergency license that do not move forward with the residency license?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we do. So this is something we've pointed out to the state board. We showed a kind of a survival analysis, if you will, of people who enter both with the permit to teach and the rate at which they convert those licenses to the next step. And it's pretty abysmal. About more than half of those who start on those, less than half of those who start on those temporary licenses wind up converting to the residency license. So in many ways, we don't know exactly what's going on. There may be on the part of the LEAs that they know it's a temporary situation, that the person's not planning on moving forward, but they have a bachelor's degree, and so they can get them licensed and cover a course for 1 year. But the candidate may have no intention of pursuing the residency license. The take-up rates are very low, or the conversion rates from temporary to residency.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So do we want to move forward and recommend that this goes to the State Board of Education as written?
I don't have a concern.
Okay, so we'll say yes. And we'll have yes here. Okay. Thank you. Now we're moving to license 030 and the rule point 0360. And the only piece that I have here, and I just want to make it clear to everyone that may be listening, that when we look at this rule point 0360 at the very top, the lifetime license is stricken out. And I want to ensure everybody that that is not removed from legislation. It's in legislation, correct, Tom? It's just moved to a different rule. Are we correct on that statement?
Right. This is the case where Mr. Collins used tried to make the numbers align with a kind of a coherent structure to these rules and policies. And so he swapped out one rule area for another rule area under the numbering, but those rules are in a different area. So the lifetime is covered, and let me go back and see if I can find where it's covered.
I think it's 0.349. If we're not mistaken.
It is.
Yep, there it is. And I can, with your permission, I can share that real quick, Dr. Locklear, so you can see
Yes.
that rule.
Do you want me to stop sharing so you can share?
I sent a request, so you should. I don't know who gets that request, if it's you or Dr. Evans.
Stop.
Okay.
I should be Dr. Evans.
Okay, so are you seeing it on the screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. So this actually took over, the original policy was related to out-of-state licensure exam requirements. And so that's all been stricken, but you can see here the state board for a lifetime license, it's got the rule that you have 30 or more years of creditable service with the North Carolina with what we call teasers, or 30 or more years combined experience as a licensed educator, or any other professional license in one of the North Carolina public school units. and then just all those conditions that go with it. We do assign an expiration date, I think about 35 years out from when it's applied. But we will, if we ever have a situation where that needs to be renewed, we can certainly do that. And it makes clear in the rule that is effective for the duration of the licensee's natural life, unless it's suspended or revoked for the reasons that we've covered in the discipline actions. So there's where it exists. So it is still there.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. And I will relinquish the sharing. If I can figure out how to do that.
Just say stop.
Am I still sharing?
Yes,
Yeah.
at the top, there should be a button at the very top that says stop sharing.
Stop sharing.
Well, seems like I'm deficient in that button. Dr. Evans, can you take it away from me?
I'll just share instead of you.
Okay.
If I can find something that. Oh, here we go. I'll just share this.
Okay. I'm going to can I go back to sharing my screen, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going
complete
to just
that
stop
part?
sharing now, Connie, and then
Okay. Okay.
there you go.
There we go. Can everyone see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And back to Paula, you had a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about this one. Looking at the rule 0360. The first one is just a general question, because one of the questions we were asked to think about could anyone read this and immediately make sense? Is it clear? And I have a question about the use of acronyms in
I
general.
have the same question.
When is it, do we define it at every rule? Is there a glossary? Like
Mhm.
this one starts, right? It starts CPL, CEU, NCES, LSAU. So I knew some of these because I have read all the other ones, and somewhere they were defined. But I think it would be good to have a consistent way of approaching acronyms. And I don't know if would be better. I don't know how to do that, but like you start with each teacher holding a CPL. So if right there I didn't know what a CPL is, I would have to go through all the rules to find that out. So
I had the same question. I had a sticky note that's that same question. I think a lot of us that work in this may know, but a lot of people reading it would not, and it would be somewhat confusion.
Yeah, the question we got was whether a person, I can't find my homework right now, but is somebody who is just reading this, can they make sense? And with that many acronyms, you can't.
Some of the acronyms are defined in the definitions for Rule 301. They're laid out like the CPL is beginning teacher.
So if they're already defined, then maybe is there I guess what Paulo and I am asking, is there a location at the beginning of policy when they begin to look where all the acronyms are listed that they can go back and refer to? Or do they need to be defined in each license?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking the same question and leaving it to the experts. But the question we got was, can a typical practitioner understand the requirements? And it was about without legal or specialist assistance. But I think one piece is just all the acronyms.
All right. Can I clarify what I think I'm hearing here?
Yes, I'm awake.
So your recommendation is that in each policy where So terms of art and or acronyms are used, that that policy contain the relevant definitions from rule. No? Okay.
No, my question is only about the use of acronyms. And just to have a consistent or something that people can understand. So when I read each teacher holding a CPL must renew, blah, 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 right? I know what a CPL is. It was not defined in this particular rule 0360. It's defined somewhere else.
Yes.
So it requires me to, not a definition, but at least just the acronyms. It stands for Continuous Professional License. I knew that. But had I not been reading all of this, I wouldn't know what a CPL is. But
Okay.
but it is very heavy, right? I think in traditional academic writing, every time you use a new acronym, the first time you just spell it out so
Right.
that it's easier to know what that acronym is. Not a definition, just the acronym.
Okay.
But I don't know in terms of the rules, what is considered a full text. Is the full text just 0360 has to be self-contained, or is the, elementary secondary licensure, so 06C, the full text, where all the acronyms are consistently used? Again, it's just a matter of consistency. Sometimes they're spelled out, sometimes they're not.
I think it's reasonable
So
to
it's not,
recommend that in a policy in which an acronym is used, that acronym is spelled out the first time before the acronym is used kind of as shorthand in the policy. I think that's a reasonable suggestion.
okay. If that's reasonable, I mean, that would be consistent with my practice. Yeah, the first time. And then for this policy, we also had a question from the field. One of them was the use of LSAU that was not, it says it was not defined before, so there was a question about that.
Right.
And then there was a question about item D being something really new.
Item D.
And let me look at the associated policy. Sorry, I'm looking at the rule.
That's the
Okay.
General Assembly
Yeah,
member
that one.
thing. It's not new, it's just not well known.
Yeah.
So that one is in the policy, but wasn't in the rule, or what? Let me look at the policy. What is the policy that goes on 030?
It's in the policy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
And it just was not something people knew. That's what you're saying? Kim?
It has impact on such a small population that I think nobody ever really looked at it or thought about it. I think we used to have 2 sitting members that were educators. Now we have 1.
Yep, it is in the policy.
And also, Tom, could you add a little clarity under B, under the rule, 0.0360, under B4?
Yeah, this is so this is a provision that is in statute that we have never been able to implement successfully. And that is if a teacher in their renewal year receives a rating of less than proficient, that teacher's only eligible to renew at the IPL level, not at the CPL level. And so, but there's nothing in the system or in the statute that indicates what requirements that person must meet in order to go back to a CPL at the end. So basically what we have is we got to put you on an IPL, and nothing really is different. And then at the end of the 3 years, when you go to renew the license, you're renewed at the CPL level. And because there was no requirements behind it or no clarity on what one had to do in that time, and because of just the general difficulty in getting this, we didn't know what would happen to people who were renewing their license who weren't employed. So there's a lot of those. So like you think about your folks that sit on, that have NCAE roles that are not technically in the classroom and not receiving evaluation. How do you handle them? Like they technically don't, they don't either violate the rule nor do they meet the requirements of the rule. So it's been a mess with legal. But our legal has maintained that it is in statute and it will be included in the rule, and we're going to have to figure out how to implement it. So this is not a change. This has been around since 2017, but it's never been implemented across the state, and it is going to be in the rule.
Well, that was the reason for asking that question, what you just said.
Yeah.
So I guess my concern is, even though it's in statute, how are we going to ensure that it's implemented with fidelity?
Yeah.
What processes are going to be put in place to ensure that things are being fair and consistent? And I guess that's my biggest rule, fair and consistent. If this district is adhering to this and another district is not, how is that fair and consistent across the field to all of our educators?
So that's a great question. So the consistency would come because it has a connection to the license. So the state would have to implement this this provision. So we do collect the evaluation scores of every annually. And so we could look at every teacher who's up for renewal. We would have to look at their evaluation ratings and determine whether they meet the standard to renew at the CPL or if they had to go to an IPL. This is very infrequent. And so one of the problems we found in this was that, and when you talk about kind of equal administration or equal impact across all LEAs.
Well, not only across LEAs, I'm sorry to interrupt, but maybe even within LEAs, where one school administrator is strict to this policy, another one may not be.
Yeah. Well, they're not really. So I mean, I imagine what you're saying is it's not really that they're adhering to the policy. It's their variation in how they view performance and how they evaluate it. So to your point, two teachers could be exhibiting the exact same behavior in terms of their facilitate. Let's say standard 4 facilitates learning. One principal, those exact same behaviors, one principal could categorize that as developing, and one could categorize it as proficient or higher. So this is part of the problem in the implementation of this, is there is not uniform consistency across raters that allows us to ensure that everyone with the same level of performance is being rated at the exact same level. There's no way to do that. And my concern for this was that, so in local practice has an impact on a teacher's what do we call it? The teachers have a property right. Yes, that's it. So a local, the teacher's property right is influenced by local variations, which is problematic. Second thing is, if the local board of education or the principal in this case, there's a clause in here that says the term of the that they have to be put on a mandatory improvement plan, and they have to address that proficiency. Well, the LEA could identify somebody as developing and elect not to put them on a performance plan, so they aren't required. They aren't required to put the person on a mandatory improvement plan, which is part of this process. So the LEA, so the other concern for me is that this is kind of a loophole in, you could negate the educator's license by not choosing to put them on a mandatory improvement plan. Because if the LEA or the LSAU does not place the teacher on a mandatory improvement plan, only if they put them on that mandatory improvement plan can we issue the IPL. If they elect not to do that, it's unclear to me what we could issue, if anything. So, long story short, is we need to get this taken out of statute. And that needs to be work for either the short session or the long session. But until we can do that, it is in statute, and we have to have the rule around it.
So I guess what you're saying is, since it's in statute, we just need to proceed. I'm a little confused on what you just said. You just said we need to get it out of statute, but since it's in statute, there's really not a whole lot we can do about it. I guess that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you can't write a rule that negates existing statute. So the best you can do is write the rule that clarifies how this would operate, and then work towards getting the General Assembly to modify the underlying statute.
And I just want to say that's through advocacy. No guarantee that the agency will be successful in that regard.
That is correct.
Clarification on Part B, number 4. Part B4. Okay. So I guess we'll just move forward with a yes, because as you said, there's not a whole lot we can do at this point, correct? But we can just add that we'd like clarification on Part B.
How about the acronym part? Would that warrant a no, or?
I've got acronyms spelled out up here at the top. So do we want to put a no, since we need to correct that? Okay.
I don't know. I'm asking. I'm not sure how heavy a note is. I mean, this is a detail of consistency that I think can be easily addressed. So
yeah. So Tom and the rest of the team, with the acronyms spelled out, I guess we're saying no, because we need to go back and ensure that they are spelled out before they're sent to the state board. And then going back to what we said on Part B4 of the rule, it's in statute. So I'm wondering, do we need to select yes or no? I'm just trying to figure out there, since it's in statute.
So, I mean, I think, so to answer Paula's question of what is no, there's a soft no and there's a hard no. So a soft no would be no, not as it's written, but we have some suggestions for how you can make it acceptable. And that would go to the spelling out of the acronyms. So really so I can't remember the column letters, but what I think is column B is the yes or no drop down. And then if you select no, it becomes solid. Column C clarifies whether it's a hard no or a soft no. And so in that case, you could say, acronyms, see acronym note or whatever. And then, I mean, you could make the recommendation that this rule specifically be brought to the attention of the state board for possible legislative advocacy or something to that effect. Like it's a soft no in that you are recognizing that you have to adhere to the statute as it exists, but your request is that the state board take up some advocacy to change this because of its problematic nature.
Anyone else? And what I have now,
I do have a concern a little bit with the wording brought for state board advocacy. I would prefer that we say brought back to PEPSC for discussion or something. I'm not sure.
I think that's a good idea. I wouldn't want them to think that we're trying to tell them what to do.
I don't want it to sound like as a small group, a group of two, we decided this is an issue for advocacy.
That's a great point, Paula.
So I think brought to this back to PEPSC, mention back to PEPSC for a discussion or something. I think would be a lighter way to accomplish, Tom, what I think you want to accomplish. And it makes sense to me what you told me. But I think that's something that requires a bigger discussion before we determine that we are going to advocate for this.
Absolutely. And my assumption in all this is that everything you're doing is being taken back to the full body for approval, not that you're making direct recommendations to the state board.
Perfect.
Thank you. So I changed it for clarification on Part B for state board discussion. And then I put acronyms spelled out. So everybody's in agreement with that. You all can see my screen, right?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
I can't.
You can't, Tom?
No.
Yours is.
Tom,
I can see it.
On the top of your.
Oh, I see it now. I'm sorry.
There is a place where you can click to see the screen.
Yeah, I got it now.
Yep.
Okay. So now I'm gonna turn it over to hello. You can we're running out of time, Kim. I don't know if we're gonna finish because we have 3 more. Do you have a meeting do you have a meeting exactly at 11?
I have a meeting exactly at 10.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So do you have any follow for?
Yeah, I do. So I'm looking at Rule 0361, and I believe when it refers to 0306 F and G, I think that's incorrect. I think it's G and H, and it's also not respectively because the order is reversed. So I'm I'm at item C. So long at the end of item C, so long as the license continues to satisfy requirements of 16 NC AC 06306 F and 306 G. So when I look at 306, F is actually for social psychologist.
Yeah.
G is for school audiologist. And H is for speech language pathologist. So my suggestion is that no, the order is correct, right? School audiology first and pathology. So we just need to fix that.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good, Paula. So that should be 306G and 306H respectively.
Yeah.
Because it is referring to those licenses issued by the North Carolina State Board of Examiners of SLPA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're on license 031, correct?
I am on license 0. Oh.
No, this is 032.
032. Okay. That's where I was.
So what needs to be changed again?
So
032 refers at the end of letter C to 0306 F and G, and that is incorrect. It should refer
Oh.
to the 0306 G and H.
G and H. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I got that
Correct,
right.
Tom?
That is correct.
Okay, yeah. All right,
Okay.
I have the same question for this one about acronyms, but we already noted it earlier.
Okay. I'll note that too here.
Okay, let me ask you, Kim, I know you have this meeting in like 3 minutes or 1 minute. Do we need to jump off now because they're using the same, I'm assuming they're using the same platform that we're using now, is that correct?
Yes.
I still have questions on 033 though.
If you want to ask one more question, because I don't see their chair yet.
Okay,
Okay, well, on 031, sorry, mine were out of order. On 031, the only comment I had is a public comment that administrators was spelled incorrectly at the top of 031.
Administrators was spelled incorrectly? Okay.
Yep, at the title.
In the title, in the policy title
Yep,
on 031.
yes.
So I'm not seeing that in the,
I'm in the rule, sorry, rule.
oh, in the rule. Okay.
Rule.
That is, so
03
that would be
0362. Sorry,
062.
I'm mixing up the two numbers.
That's okay.
On rule
it's spelled
0362,
incorrectly.
administrator is spelled incorrectly.
It sure is.
It
Okay.
is.
On rule 0361, we already discussed, and then I had rule 0363.
Mm-hmm.
The policy says that you may request to DPI on item B here. The policy says you may request to DPI, but the rule says you request to the state board. I just don't know if that's the correct way to go.
All right. Can you tell me the rule and the policy?
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
It's
So for policy 033, sorry, I have to find it
All
again.
right. 033.
And that goes with rule 0363, correct?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the policy, number 3 of the policy,
All right. The validation. Okay.
yes, it says you request that to DPI to validate an expired CPL. When you look at letter B of the rule,
Mm-hmm.
it says you request to the State Board of Education.
Right.
And that's rule 0.0363, correct?
Yes.
And Kim, it looks like in the chart, I didn't have that rule in there. I have rule
It was-
0202.
I got, yeah,
It
that's
was
what I have.
missing, Tom, so I had added that in there because I noticed it wasn't in a group.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I am sorry about that. That's my
No, it's all good.
fault. So let me look at,
So are you saying it's an inconsistency between the rule and the policy?
Yes, one
Oh,
says
okay.
DPI, one says State Board. I just didn't know if that was a matter of what a rule does and a policy does, but they are inconsistent.
yeah, I think that's a good catch. It should be consistent. However,
And
And down here, I'm sorry, do we need to change that, Kim and Tom, instead of rule 0.020, it should be rule
No, we just need to
0.03.
add another, we
You
have
need
to add
additional one.
add
Okay.
rule 0363. And I want to respect the other subcommittee's time because we're
we'll
3
jump off
minutes
there.
over. But if you guys, did you have any objections over the definitions rule 202? Because if
I
you-
did not know that, was that assigned to us?
It was, but Paula, it wasn't necessarily your rule
I
to
don't
go
see
over
it in-
individually. So
Yeah, I don't see it in the email that had everything that was assigned to our group, so I
It
did not
was,
look
it
at
was
that.
assigned at 015, and it was the 202.
Where?
I think the 202 was just
It's
the new
definition.
definitions. Yeah, I didn't have any, no, I think that's just definitions. I think we're good with that one.
Okay.
I have not looked, so I won't say anything.
Okay.
If you do have something, you can always email Connie and let her know, and she can add it in there
But-
too.
Yeah, I do have
Oh.
one more question about 0363. So if I need to email Connie that, I can. But in a couple of places, it refers renewal requirement of this section. And I'm not sure what a section is. It says that twice. By this section.
Oh, that section of the rule? Like
I,
that section of,
I don't know. That's
part
my
of the
question.
rule
What
that
is
it
the
is?
section?
I think that's what that means, right, Tom?
Yeah, let me see where I can. The renewal requirements in this section,
Yep.
but the renewal requirements within a different section.
Okay, so that probably has to be clear.
Oh, no. These are the general, yes.
Okay,
It's referring to those in the policy up above in A.
okay.
But how about in the rule?
That I am reading the rule. So the section is the rule.
Okay.
So they have to do, A lists the requirements, the general requirements for the CEU. Or how you can obtain a CEU. And so he's just indicating that the educator must complete those renewal requirements in this section by the end of the 3rd year. And then the other ones just
Okay.
is by
I'll read it carefully again, but when I first read it, it wasn't clear to me what that referred
Paula,
to.
if we need to email you any more clarification, we can. I just want to move to the licensure subcommittee.
And Dr.
Sure.
Locklear, if you folks want to meet again, you absolutely let us know.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, thank you for your time, and I know there's some additional questions we have. I'll go back, Paula, you and I can email back and forth, and we need to have another meeting. We can reach out to Dr. Evans, and
Yes.
she can schedule one for us. I know she needs to get to the next
Yeah.
meeting. Thank you for your time today, and we'll check back in with everyone.
And
Thank you
I
again.
want to thank DPI again for allowing us time to do this carefully. This is much appreciated. And
Absolutely.
Connie, I look forward, we'll email each other and figure this out.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everybody have a great day.
All
Thank
right,
you very
thanks.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, we're
Hey,
on.
Alexandra. Sorry for the wait, everyone. I'm just going to check with IT to make sure we're going live. Are you ready to just go live as soon? Okay.